What if the greatest fantasy worlds of the 1980s were not the ones everyone remembers? What if the real magic was hidden in shows that disappeared before they could become legends? Tonight, we are stepping into forgotten kingdoms, strange dimensions, and dangerous dreams where magic feels unpredictable and nothing is safe. These are the rare cartoons that built entire worlds, then vanished, leaving behind stories that still feel alive. Number 20. Inhumanoids. 1986. Beneath the surface of the earth, something ancient begins to wake. Not just creatures, but forces that feel older than memory. Inhumanoids arrives disguised as a toy-driven cartoon, yet quickly reveals something far darker. Our giant subterranean monsters rise from hidden depths, led by the terrifying Metlar, a molten giant who commands destruction with almost mythic authority. What makes this series stand out is how it blends science with pure fantasy dread. These are not simple villains. They feel like cursed titans pulled from forgotten legends. Humans attempt to fight back with technology, yet every battle feels uneven, as if magic itself has turned against them. The tone often slips into horror territory, which was rare for a children's cartoon of the time. There is a strange intensity in its storytelling. Cities burn, heroes struggle, the threat never feels small. And that lingering sense of ancient evil gives Inhumanoids a place among the most unusual fantasy hybrids of the decade. Number 19. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. 1985. For years, Scooby-Doo lived in a world where every ghost was fake. Every mystery had a logical answer. Then suddenly, everything changed. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo breaks the formula and steps into real supernatural territory where magic is no longer a trick, but a dangerous reality. The story begins with a mistake that unleashes 13 powerful spirits across the world. Each ghost feels distinct and threatening. Some are playful, yet others carry a genuine sense of menace. Vincent Van Gool guides the group with real magical knowledge, creating a dynamic that feels closer to a fantasy quest than a mystery show. What makes this version stand apart is its tone. The stakes feel higher. The humor remains, yet there is an undercurrent of danger that was rarely seen before. It becomes a journey of redemption and responsibility rather than simple problem-solving. This shift from illusion to reality gives the series a unique place in 1980s animation. It proves that even familiar characters can enter darker magical worlds and still feel fresh. Number 18. The World of David. The Gnome, 1985. Far from epic battles and towering villains, there exists a quieter kind of magic. The world of David the Gnome does not rely on spectacle. Instead, it builds a living, breathing fantasy world rooted in nature and gentle wonder. David is not a warrior. He is a healer, a protector of forests, a guardian of balance. The series draws heavily from European folklore, where gnomes live hidden lives among humans and animals. Every episode feels like a small storybook brought to life. Wounds are healed with knowledge. Conflicts are resolved with wisdom. Even danger arrives in a more grounded form through trolls who represent chaos rather than pure evil. What truly defines this show is its emotional depth. It carries a calm tone, yet never feels empty. There is a sense of time passing, of life moving quietly forward. Few cartoons of the era explore themes of aging responsibility and harmony with such sincerity. It may not shout for attention, yet its magic lingers. It reminds the viewer that fantasy does not always need battles to feel powerful. Sometimes it only needs truth and stillness. Number 17. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors. 1985. There are worlds where nature grows wild, and then there are worlds where it turns against you. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors begins with an experiment that goes wrong in the most unnatural way. Plants evolve into intelligent, aggressive beings, twisted into monsters known as the monster minds. What follows is not just conflict, it is imbalance. A world where life itself becomes hostile. Jace is not just a hero, he is a seeker, searching for his missing father while holding half of a magical root that could restore order. The other half lies in enemy hands, creating a constant tension that never fully resolves. Victory is always incomplete. What makes this series stand out is its fusion of organic horror and mechanical fantasy. Vehicles transform, landscapes feel alive. The enemy is not invading from outside, it is growing from within. There is a strange unease in its tone, and the idea that something natural could become unnatural so quickly. That control can be lost without warning. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors feels less like a battle and more like a world trying to correct a mistake it cannot undo. Number 16. Grimm's Fairy Tale Classics. 1987. Before fantasy became polished and predictable, there were stories that felt raw and unsettling. Grimm's Fairy Tale Classics brings those original tales back to life without softening their edges. These are not cheerful bedtime stories. They are warnings, lessons wrapped in magic and shadow. Each episode presents a different narrative drawn from traditional folklore. Witches do not simply cast spells. They manipulate and deceive. Heroes are not always brave. Sometimes they are flawed and uncertain. The world itself feels unpredictable, as if anything could happen at any moment. What makes this series stand apart is its commitment to authenticity. It does not reshape the stories to fit modern expectations. Instead, it preserves their darker tone and emotional weight. There is a quiet tension running through every scene. Even moments of beauty carry an underlying sense of danger. Visually, the show embraces a soft yet haunting aesthetic. Characters move through landscapes that feel both magical and fragile. It creates an atmosphere where hope exists but is never guaranteed. Grimm's Fairy Tale. Classics proves that true fantasy does not always comfort. Sometimes it unsettles and lingers long after the story ends. Number 15. Prince Valiant. 1989. Legends of kings and knights have always carried a certain weight. Prince Valiant steps directly into that tradition and builds a world shaped by honor, courage, and myth. Set within the realm of Camelot, the series follows a young warrior striving to prove himself among legends. Valiant is not perfect. He learns through struggle and failure, which gives the story a grounded feeling despite its magical setting. Alongside him stand familiar figures from Arthurian lore, including Merlin, whose presence brings genuine mystical influence into the narrative. Magic here is subtle, yet powerful. It shapes events quietly rather than dominating them. The series leans heavily into themes of loyalty and destiny. Every quest feels meaningful. Every challenge tests not just strength, but character. This approach creates a more mature tone compared to many fantasy cartoons of the decade. What truly defines Prince Valiant is its sense of legacy. The world feels ancient and alive. The stories echo with history. There is a belief that every action contributes to something greater than the individual. It may not rely on spectacle, yet it carries a quiet strength. A reminder that true heroism often grows from humility and perseverance. Number 14. The Mysterious Cities of Gold. 1982. There are stories that promise treasure, and then there are stories that promise something greater. The Mysterious Cities of Gold begins as an adventure, but quickly transforms into a journey through myth science and ancient mystery. A young boy named Esteban searches for truth about his origins while chasing legends of lost golden cities. What sets this series apart is its layered world. It blends real historical exploration with elements that feel almost supernatural. Ancient civilizations are not just ruins. They are filled with secrets that suggest forgotten knowledge beyond human understanding. Machines appear that seem too advanced for their time, yet still carry an aura of magic. The tone constantly shifts between wonder and tension. Each discovery raises more questions than answers. Companions are formed, yet trust is never simple. There is always a sense that something larger is guiding events from the shadows. Visually, the series carries a distinct identity. Landscapes stretch across deserts, mountains, and oceans, creating a feeling of endless exploration. It feels vast and unpredictable. The deeper the journey goes, the more it becomes clear that this is not only about gold. It is about legacy identity and the hidden truths of the world itself. Number 13. Ulysses 31. 1981. Some journeys move forward, others trap you in time. Ulysses 31 takes a familiar myth and stretches it across the vastness of space, turning ancient legend into something cosmic and disorienting. After defying the gods, Ulysses is cursed by Zeus and forced to wander through unknown dimensions in search of a way home. But this is not a simple voyage. It is punishment disguised as exploration. The universe he travels through does not follow normal rules. Planets feel like illusions. Creatures behave like symbols rather than beings. Every encounter carries a sense of meaning that is never fully explained. It creates a constant feeling that something larger is watching. What makes the series unique is its philosophical tone. This is not just about survival, it is about consequence. Every step forward feels like part of a test that may never end. Visually, the show blends classical mythology with futuristic design, creating a world that feels both ancient and distant at the same time. Ships glide through space, yet the presence of gods makes everything feel controlled by unseen forces. Ulysses 31 is not a journey toward victory. It is a journey through uncertainty where the destination may not exist at all. Number 12. Dungeons and Dragons. 1983. Few fantasy cartoons capture the feeling of being lost in another world as effectively as Dungeons and Dragons. A group of ordinary kids step onto a theme park ride and are suddenly transported into a realm ruled by magic danger and endless uncertainty. From that moment, their lives change completely. Each character is given a role shaped by classic fantasy archetypes: a knight, a magician, an archer. Yet beneath these roles they remain children trying to survive in a place that refuses to feel safe. The Dungeon Master appears as a guide, offering cryptic advice that rarely provides simple answers. His presence adds a layer of mystery that drives the entire narrative. The true strength of the series lies in its tension. The villain Venger is not just a threat. He represents control and domination within a world that feels chaotic. Every encounter with him raises the stakes and reinforces the sense that escape may not be possible. The emotional core is just as important. The group struggles with fear, doubt, and the longing to return home. This grounding makes the fantasy feel more intense and personal. Dungeons and Dragons stands as one of the most immersive animated journeys of its time. It turns fantasy into something uncertain and unpredictable, where every step forward carries risk and consequence. Number 11. Lady Lovely Locks and the Pixie Tales. 1987. At first glance it appears delicate, bright colors, gentle characters, a kingdom filled with beauty. But beneath that softness lies a fantasy world shaped by power struggle and magical imbalance. Lady Lovely Locks and the Pixie Tales tells the story of a princess whose strength is not drawn from weapons, but from something far more unusual. And her magic lives within her hair and within the living creatures that protect her. The kingdom is constantly under threat from Ravenwaves, a dark sorceress who seeks control through deception and force. Unlike traditional villains, she relies on manipulation rather than brute strength. This creates a different kind of tension. Battles are not always visible. Sometimes they unfold quietly through influence and hidden intentions. What makes this series stand out is its concept of magic as a living extension of identity. The pixie tales are not just companions, they are part of the princess herself. This connection gives every conflict emotional weight. When danger rises, it feels personal rather than distant. The tone remains calm, yet carries an undercurrent of unease. Beauty and danger exist side by side. It creates a world where innocence is constantly tested. This is fantasy built on subtlety, a reminder that power does not always announce itself loudly. Number 10. Moondreamers, 1986. There is a place that only exists when the world falls asleep, a place where dreams are protected, shaped, and sometimes threatened. Moondreamers takes that fragile concept and builds an entire fantasy around it. Instead of kingdoms and castles, it focuses on imagination itself as something worth defending. The characters are guardians of dreams, each representing aspects of creativity and thought. Their mission is not to defeat armies, but to preserve hope and inspiration. Opposing them is a force that seeks to turn dreams into nightmares, draining energy from the world below. This conflict may appear abstract, yet it carries a surprising sense of urgency. What makes Moondreamers unique is its atmosphere. The setting feels soft and surreal, almost like a half-remembered dream. Colors shift gently. Movement feels fluid. There is a constant sense that reality is not fixed. It creates an environment where anything can happen, yet nothing feels entirely stable. Beneath its gentle surface, the series explores deeper ideas. It suggests that imagination itself can be vulnerable, that creativity can fade if left unprotected. These themes give the story more weight than its appearance might suggest. Moondreamers stands as one of the most unusual fantasy concepts of the decade. It moves away from traditional storytelling and instead asks a simple question: what happens when dreams begin to disappear? Number 9. Trollkins, 1981. Hidden beneath ordinary life exists a world that few ever notice. Trollkins introduces that idea through a society of trolls living just out of sight. At first, it feels playful, almost comedic, yet there is a deeper fantasy structure supporting everything. The trolls are not isolated creatures. They live within a system filled with hierarchy rules and traditions. Magic appears in subtle ways woven into their daily existence rather than presented as grand spectacle. This approach makes their world feel grounded despite its fantastical nature. Conflict arises through interactions with humans and through internal challenges within their society. These moments reveal that even in a hidden world, balance must be maintained. The trolls are forced to adapt, protect themselves, and preserve their way of life. What separates Trollkins from other fantasy cartoons is its scale. It does not rely on epic quests or massive battles. Instead, it focuses on small moments that gradually build a larger picture. This slower pacing gives the world a sense of authenticity. There is a quiet charm to its storytelling, yet also a sense of fragility. The idea that this hidden world could disappear if discovered creates underlying tension. Trollkins may not appear grand yet. It offers a different perspective on fantasy, one where magic exists quietly within the margins of everyday life. Number 8. Monchhichis, 1983. Deep within a towering tree hidden from human eyes, there exists a fragile kingdom built on unity and quiet magic. A Monchhichis may appear light-hearted at first glance, yet its world is structured around survival balance and constant threat. These small creatures live in harmony, but that harmony is always at risk. Their greatest enemy is not just physical danger, but disruption of their way of life. The magical elements are woven into their environment rather than presented as separate forces. The tree itself feels alive as if it is part of the community it shelters. Every branch, every hidden passage serves a purpose. The conflict often emerges through external threats that challenge their peaceful existence. Each response is carefully measured and shaped by cooperation rather than aggression. This gives the series a tone that feels different from traditional fantasy narratives. What makes Monchhichis stand out is its focus on preservation. The characters are not seeking conquest or expansion, they are trying to protect what they already have. That goal creates a constant sense of vulnerability. There is a quiet strength in its storytelling. It shows that even the smallest world can carry depth and meaning, and sometimes the greatest battles are fought to keep something gentle from being lost forever. Number 7. The Smurfs, 1981. A hidden village deep within an enchanted forest holds more magic than it first reveals. The Smurfs may be widely recognized, yet its fantasy roots run deeper than many remember. This is a world shaped entirely by spells, potions, and ancient knowledge guarded by a wise figure known as Papa Smurf. Magic is not an occasional tool here. It defines the structure of the entire environment. Every solution, every conflict, every moment of danger is influenced by mystical forces. Opposing them is Gargamel, a sorcerer driven by obsession whose repeated attempts to capture the Smurfs bring constant tension. What makes this series more complex than it appears is its balance between simplicity and depth. On the surface, it presents light adventures, yet beneath that lies a consistent exploration of community resilience and survival. The village operates as a unified system where each member contributes to maintaining harmony. The forest itself feels alive, filled with hidden dangers and unseen forces. It reinforces the idea that magic surrounds every corner, whether visible or not. The Smurfs endures because of this foundation. It is not just a children's series. It is a fully realized fantasy ecosystem where even the smallest characters carry significance within a magical world that never truly feels safe. Number 6. The Adventures of the Gummi Bears, 1985. Long before fantasy animation became mainstream, there was a hidden legacy waiting to be rediscovered. The Adventures of the Gummi Bears builds its world around that idea. An ancient civilization once powerful, now reduced to scattered survivors, guarding secrets that mustn't fall into the wrong hands. The Gummi Bears possess abilities tied to magic and alchemy. Their most iconic creation is a potion that grants temporary strength, allowing them to defy physical limits. Yet this power is carefully controlled because its misuse could change everything. Opposing them are human forces driven by greed and ambition. Duke's knights and villains seek the lost knowledge of the Gummies, believing it will give them absolute control. This creates a constant tension between secrecy and survival. What defines the series is its sense of hidden history. There is always the suggestion that something greater existed before the present moment. Ruins, artifacts, and forgotten knowledge hint at a deeper past waiting to be uncovered. The tone balances adventure with mystery. It invites curiosity about what came before and what might still remain hidden. The Adventures of the Gummi Bears stands as one of the earliest examples of serialized fantasy storytelling where the world itself feels larger than what is shown. Number 5. Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, 1987. There is a moment when science collapses and something older takes its place. Visionaries begins exactly at that breaking point. Technology fails across the world, and suddenly magic returns not as myth, but as law. Kingdoms rise again, power shifts, and those who can control magic become something more than human. The knights gain abilities through mystical staffs, each granting them the spirit of an animal. These powers are not random, they reflect identity. Strength becomes visible, character becomes weapon. This creates a conflict that feels deeply personal, as every battle is shaped by who the warriors truly are. Opposing factions form quickly. One seeks order, while the other seeks domination. The balance between them is fragile and constantly shifting. Every encounter carries weight because magic is unpredictable and absolute. What makes Visionaries unique is its fusion of transition. It captures a world caught between two eras, one defined by logic, the other by mysticism. That tension gives the series a distinctive energy. It is not just about power, it is about adaptation, about what happens when everything familiar disappears and something ancient returns to claim its place. Number 4. Pirates of Dark Water, 1991. There are worlds that are dying, and then there are worlds being consumed. Pirates of Dark Water does not begin with adventure, it begins with collapse. A living substance known as dark water spreads across the planet, swallowing oceans, corrupting life, and erasing everything it touches. This is not just a threat, it is extinction in motion. At the center of it is Ren, a young prince carrying the burden of stopping something no one fully understands. The quest is simple in concept. Find the 13 treasures of rule, but nothing about the journey feels simple. Each step forward feels temporary. Each victory feels fragile. What makes this series unforgettable is its atmosphere. The world feels unstable. Oceans shift. Creatures mutate. Entire environments feel like they are decaying in real time. Even the allies feel uncertain, shaped by survival rather than loyalty. There is no sense of safety here, no guarantee of success, only movement against something that never stops. Pirates of Dark Water stands apart because it turns fantasy into inevitability. Not a battle to win, but a world trying not to disappear. Number 3. Thundarr the Barbarian, 1980. The world has already ended before the story begins. Thundarr the Barbarian takes place in a shattered future where civilization has collapsed and magic rises from its ruins. Wizards rule broken lands. Strange creatures roam freely. The past exists only as fragments buried beneath chaos. Thundarr stands as a warrior moving through this unpredictable landscape alongside companions who each bring unique strength. Their journey is not about restoring order. It is about surviving within disorder. Every encounter feels different because the world itself is unstable. What makes this series compelling is its fusion of science fiction and fantasy. Ancient technology is treated like magic. Ruined cities become battlegrounds where old knowledge clashes with new power. This creates a setting that feels both familiar and alien at the same time. The tone carries urgency. There is little comfort. Danger appears without warning. Yet within that harshness there is resilience. The characters continue forward despite the uncertainty around them. Thundarr presents a vision of fantasy born from destruction, a reminder that even in a broken world, new legends can rise. Number 2. Blackstar, 1981. There are heroes who rise by choice, and then there are those forced into legend by accident. Blackstar begins with a fall. An astronaut pulled through space crashes onto a distant world where science no longer matters and magic governs everything. From that moment, he is no longer a visitor. He becomes part of a conflict far older than himself. At the center of this struggle lies the power sword. Broken into two halves, it represents balance and control. Blackstar holds one piece, while the tyrant overlord holds the other. This division creates a constant tension as neither side can fully dominate without the missing half. Every confrontation feels incomplete, yet dangerous. The world itself is filled with strange creatures and mystical environments that shift between beauty and threat. Allies appear in unexpected forms, while enemies seem almost mythical in their presence. Nothing feels ordinary. Every step forward leads deeper into a reality that defies logic. What makes Blackstar stand out is its tone. It carries a sense of isolation. The hero is not just fighting for victory. He is searching for belonging in a world that is not his own. This mixture of displacement and destiny gives the story weight. It turns a simple premise into something far more compelling and unforgettable. Number 1. The Real Ghostbusters, 1986. Some worlds hide their darkness. This one lets it slip through. The Real Ghostbusters may look like a comedy on the surface, but underneath, it builds one of the most unpredictable supernatural worlds of the 1980s. New York is not just a city. It is a gateway, a place where dimensions overlap and something unseen is always waiting to cross over. Ghosts here are not simple illusions. They are entities with their own logic, their own rules, sometimes playful, sometimes disturbing. Ancient spirits, cursed objects, forgotten gods. Each episode feels like opening a door that should have stayed closed. What makes this series stand apart is its range. One moment, it leans into humor. The next, it shifts into something genuinely unsettling. Stories explore possession, on alternate realities, even the idea of reality breaking apart under supernatural pressure. And the Ghostbusters themselves? They are not heroes in control. They are responders, arriving after something has already gone wrong. That's where the tension lives. Because in this world, the unknown isn't rare. It's constant. The Real Ghostbusters stands at number 1 because it transforms fantasy into intrusion. Not a distant world to visit, but one that can reach you without warning. Some of these worlds faded quietly, while others were buried under louder names, yet their magic never truly disappeared. If even one of these stories felt new to you, then there is more waiting to be uncovered. Stay curious, keep searching, and remember the rarest stories are often the ones worth finding.